Welcome to the Mama Stay Fit podcast, Birth Story Friday. In this birth story, we have the co-founder of EasyJug, which is a really helpful postpartum tool that you can get to help you hydrate, not only during the postpartum period, but also during pregnancy, during your labor, all the time. It's a really amazing tool that we discovered during Roxanne's postpartum period. And we're really excited to have the co-founder, Deirdra, here to share not only her birth story, but also the birth of EasyJug. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Mama Stay Fit podcast. This is Gina, perinatal fitness trainer and birth doula.
And I'm Roxanne, labor and delivery nurse and student midwife.
And this is the Mama Stay Fit podcast, where we empower you on your prenatal fitness, birth, and postpartum return to fitness journey.
Our podcast shares how to move throughout your pregnancy to stay strong and comfortable, because pain is not a requirement of pregnancy. Understand the science of birth and how to approach recovery after birth.
We share our personal experience as mothers navigating this stage in our lives, plus our professional expertise as birth workers and fitness professionals.
Our goal is to help you feel confident as you navigate the perinatal timeframe for an empowering pregnancy, positive birth, and postpartum journey.
We are glad to have you with us on this journey and that you have chosen us to support you. Welcome to the Mama Stay Fit podcast, Birth Story Friday. In this episode, we have Deirdra here, who is the owner of EasyJug, or the founder, CEO of the company, which is a really cool postpartum device that you can use, or even pregnancy. I'm using it during my pregnancy. It's like it's a water bottle that's like a gallon size and has like an 8-foot straw, so you can have your water bottle all over the place.
8 foot, I love it.
I don't know if it's that long. But it makes hydrating during pregnancy and postpartum like so much easier.
Hands-free.
And it's hands-free, which is really awesome. So we're really excited to hear your birth story and then also the birth of EasyJug as well. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh my God, thank you so much for inviting me. It is an honor. I've been following you for about a year now, and I love everything that you do for our mama community. You're both so inspirational and, just have a wealth of knowledge. So thank you so much for sharing that with everyone.
Absolutely.
My name is Deirdra, and I am the mama of one. And I am happily married, and we live in Los Angeles, California. And my husband and I created EasyJug together. So we're both co-founders. My husband and I met at Burning Man, which I think is kind of a fun story. But, he's definitely my partner in crime. We do everything together. So it's really interesting to be business partners. I mean, as you know, with like family, right? It's a different kind of experience. But yeah, it's amazing. And so, we've been partners in crime together, and it started obviously with our pregnancy. And I was the late bloomer when it came to pregnancy. I got pregnant at 39, 2 months away from 40. So I was quote unquote geriatric. And I think everybody hates that term, right? It's like, why do we still use it? It's such a bad term. It's such a bad term. And because of that, like I had a lot of anxiety my first trimester. And my doctor had given me this like training on all the risk factors of being pregnant after 35. And my husband one day was just watching me look at this video and just like he could see the anxiety on my face. And he walked over. He turned my computer off. He's like, "You're not going to watch this anymore. Stop it." And
good man. He's a good man. I need that for my sister very often. Get off. I'm like, I've been Googling this thing.
I saw that post. Yeah, I saw that post. I know. You have to. You have to. It's so crazy. You can go down that rabbit hole. And and I think too, it's really hard if you're over the age of 35, just because of all the fear mongering out there. So yes, he's a good man, super supportive. There was one thing that we disagreed about though, and that was where we were going to have our baby. I really wanted to do a home birth. I'm like a big yogi, and I really wanted to experience the labor and do the water bath and, all that stuff. I really had this like fantasy about it. And he was very adamant about going to a hospital. He actually had some trauma in his family. His younger brother was a preemie, and the hospital that he was born in had no preemie neonatal care. And so he got cerebral palsy. And, my husband was like, "We are going to be in a hospital with the right type of medical care. Like, I do not want you having to rush to," like, he just wanted to make sure that we were in a hospital. And I was like, because it was a very sensitive subject for him, I was like, okay, there's, some things that I'm just not going to argue about. And it was a very sensitive matter. So we opted for the hospital, and I was born in a hospital. So I was like, okay, I'm okay. And I did get a midwife though, which was nice because I really wanted to have not just a doctor, but a midwife. So that was nice being able to talk to her just about like alternative ways of like working through my pregnancy. And so that was really nice. And then when I hit my second trimester mark, like almost on the date, I woke up that morning and the left side of my face was frozen. I couldn't blink. I had no sensation in the left side of my mouth.
Oh,
And
no.
I called my doctor right away and I was like, I don't know what's wrong, but I can't move my face. And she's like, you need to go to the hospital. You could be having a stroke.
Oh God.
So I'm like, okay, this is geriatric pregnancy shit. I'm sorry. I don't know if I could say that S word on here, but I was like,
Oh, yeah.
It's fine.
We'll just put an E.
I was like,
We'll mark it as explicit.
okay, good. But I was like, God, I remember that car ride to the hospital with my husband very vividly, holding his hand and trying to breathe really deeply, trying not to think the worst, And we get there and it turned out I had Bell's palsy and had never heard of it before in my life. And then I learned that pregnant women are more susceptible to it. So I was like, how come this isn't in the handbook? Like nobody told me anything about this. Like it was a total complete shock. And I had it for a month, which was really challenging because at the time I worked in outside sales. So I had to go see customers with like an eye patch, which was like, I had a belly showing and an eye patch. It was like very interesting. So yeah, that was, we got through that. And then the third trimester came and I got carpal tunnel. And then I also got really bad sciatica, really, really bad. And I think there was a couple of things that contributed to that. I was in outside sales. So I was in my car a lot, driving long distances. And I was also teaching dance classes. I taught dance all the way through my pregnancy, but I stopped doing any strength training. And part of that was because I was pregnant during COVID. So all the gyms were closed and I was like a gym person. I was just not motivated to work out at home. So I stopped doing weight training. I also used to be a person that practiced yoga every day, but I only did that like once a week. So like, I just wasn't taking care of myself the same way. And then I also like was stressing. So I gained more weight than I should have, like all the things, right? So like, my body was just like, no, we're not. It's just like pain in my hip. And I couldn't work anymore. So the plus side about that was that I got to go on maternity leave early because I just was considered disabled. I couldn't do my job. So I got to enjoy an extra month on maternity leave and do all the nesting and all that fun stuff. A few days before my due date, my grandmother passed away, which was really hard because she was like my rock. She raised me throughout my childhood. And so I was really hoping she was going to make it to see our baby, but she passed. And I just had so much emotional pain and overwhelmed. And I was worried that my baby was like, the energy was going to get to my baby, right? Like, oh my God, you have mom guilt right away. Like, what if my baby's born all messed up? Because I was like so sad and traumatized, right? So I really wanted to give birth on time, quote unquote, on time, right? And so I tried all the things to induce my baby naturally. I really wanted to, experience labor, have my water break, all of that. I ate the salad, I ate the dates, I went up the stairs, I did the sidewalk thing, I had sex, all the things, and nothing worked. None of it. And they scheduled the induction for a week after my due date. And I remember telling my husband that morning that we were going to do the induction that, I want to do all the tests. And if everything looks okay, I just want to wait. I really I feel great. And, I hear babies can, the due date doesn't mean anything. Like it can be weeks afterwards and babies turn out okay. So I was like, if the tests show that everything is okay, I want to wait. So the induction was scheduled at like 10 o'clock at night. I don't know why they scheduled it so late, but we show up at the hospital and the amniotic fluid was low. So we were like, okay, well, that was one of the things that we decided that if anything looked like there was going to be any complications, we were just going to go for it. So I was really nervous about the process because I didn't know what to expect. And we did the balloon, and we also did some sort of, I think it was like a pill, Pitocin maybe, something like that.
For the pill, it was probably like Cytotec.
Okay.
Which is a cervical ripening agent. It helps your cervix get soft.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, this is 3 years ago, so I don't remember the details. So thank you. Because I was like, it was something. They gave me the whole like cocktail, to get me to like go into labor. And I remember the nurse telling me, she's like, okay, now get some rest. And it was like moments after that, I was in pain like I've never felt before. And for some reason, it didn't dawn on me like that I was going into labor. I was just like, what is this feel? Like, what is happening to me? I felt like I was cracking open, it was just like, what the hell? And it was all night. And I remember I downloaded audiobooks, and one of them was like Barack Obama's book. And I was thinking, oh yeah, his voice is going to soothe me and relax me. And it's like 20 hours long, his book. And it was like, I didn't pay attention to any of it. I just remember like, trying to remember all like the breathing techniques I used in my yoga class, and just trying to remember all that. But it seemed like none of it was like, it just didn't prepare me for what I was experiencing. And so somewhere between 7 and 9 a.m. And of course, the husband is sleeping right next to me, right? Like peacefully. I was just like,
yeah,
I see.
Checks out.
Yeah, totally checked out. So the next morning, somewhere between 7 and 9 a.m., they come and they check me, and I was a couple of centimeters dilated. They're like, great job. And I'm like, great job. Like, I've just been in pain. Like, I don't know what I did, but okay. And they were like, do you want an epidural? And I said, yes, because I was exhausted. Like, I didn't sleep at all. And I just couldn't imagine being in any more pain. Like, how am I going to go through labor? Like this, pushing and all that. I just was like, I needed some relief. And yeah, as soon as that epidural hit, like I had relief, and it was just, I could rest, which was nice. A couple of hours after that, my water breaks. And then, I don't know, maybe another hour after that, like my epidural wears off, and I'm in full on intense labor. Like I felt like I got myself just, I don't know. It was the most intense feeling. I thought the evening was bad, right? And then this was just like 20 times more intense. And I felt everything. I was like, I thought that the epidural was forever. I didn't know it could wear off. Like, why am I feeling all this pain? So, I was like, I got to a point where I was like, I'm going to push. Like, I need to push. And there was no doctors around, no nurses around. I told my husband, I'm like, go find somebody. I'm about to push because I'm ready to go. So he had to run out, go find somebody. Sure enough, they come in. They're like, yeah, you're 10 centimeters. We're ready. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. Where's the doctor?
Like, I know.
I know. I'm ready. And, yeah, they actually ended up giving me more pain meds because they wanted me to just like relax a little bit again, because I was just so like, I don't know if it was stress, but it was definitely intense. And so I start pushing, and you guys know you lift heavy weights. I used to lift some heavy weights back when I did my fitness competitions. I used to push cars. Okay. Like I know how to push heavy things. But this is like the heaviest, like a monster truck I had to push, like it was just intense. The kind of pushing that you do to get a baby out. I'd never pushed so hard before. And it felt like forever. I'm just like, when is this going to end? And they had to keep on moving me to like different positions because the baby's heart rate kept on dropping. And then they even had to give me an oxygen mask. And I was like nervous because maybe I was going to have to get a C-section because it seemed like it was becoming more complicated. Finally, we were able to stabilize with me and the baby on a side position. And then I was like, tired, but I was like, I can't give up. Like I gotta keep going. I've come this far, right? I can't just give up. But I was feeling so close to like, I can't do this anymore. This is so hard. And so I was like, just, one more push, let's go. And then I felt the tear, and the baby came out, and it felt like it was dead silent in the room. And I panicked. I was like, the first words out of my mouth is, "She okay?" Because I was like, don't babies cry when they come out? Like there was no sound whatsoever. And my husband, I could hear him tearing up, like, "She's fine. She's beautiful. She's beautiful." And I just felt so much relief. Like, one of the things that I remember feeling between the push and that state of like relaxation, when you go between the contraction and the push and the relaxation, it's like you go back and forth between these spectrum of like intensity and ecstasy. Intensity and ecstasy. And as soon as like, her name is Leela, as soon as she came out, it was just this like, this bliss, like this just like, oh, it's all those hormones, oxytocin at its finest. So they put our Leela on my chest, and after they cleaned her up, and I looked down at her, and she had an angel kiss on her forehead in the shape of a heart. And then I know, and then in the back of her neck, she had the same birthmark as my grandmother. So I think like, what if, she was in the celestial spiritual plane with my grandma, just playing, and that's why she was late. I don't know. And then that angel kiss was like grandma's kiss to her goodbye, I don't know. But that was the whole event. I kind of feel like giving birth is a rite of passage. You kind of enter this tribe of mama, this mama tribe. And it's one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I've done some pretty hard things. And that was the hardest thing I've ever done. And it's, to this day, it's still, the most rewarding. You just being my daughter's mom. I love her so much. So yeah, you think that's hard, and then you hit postpartum.
Postpartum is rough.
I would rather do birth over and over than early postpartum.
Like the first month.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like I got hit by a truck. Like it's just...
That's usually how I describe it.
Yeah, I've heard you describe it that way, and I was like, that's exactly how it feels. And I think it's just crazy how, thankfully I found, people like you, but there's not a lot of talk about it, especially when, you go to the hospital and you're, taking childbirth classes. They don't talk about postpartum. Your family might not talk about postpartum either, right? It's like this, we just don't talk about it so much unless you're following people like you, or like you have a doula. But I had no idea how hard it was. And I just remember being in the hospital, and it hurt to, even though I gave birth vaginally, like it still hurt to sit up to drink water or eat. Like I couldn't, I dreaded sitting up, and walking to the toilet was just like, I felt like I had no legs, like I just was just like spaghetti legs. Oh my God, so much pain. And then sitting to pee, and then I was stressed out about pooping. I mean, all those things were just...
I know.
Oh, that first postpartum soup.
Just like...
I just felt like my quads and like thighs were just like, it was like
Jello.
the hardest workout of my life.
Jello.
And they were just so, I was like, I just need a massage or just icy hot or something.
Yeah.
Like my legs just hurt.
Yeah.
Like, oh gosh.
It's so much pain, so much discomfort. And then I couldn't sleep all night too. The nurses kept on coming in all night, like to give my baby a bath. I'm like, do you need to give my baby a bath at midnight? Like, really? Come on.
Like she's sleeping too. Like,
It's funny though, because like as a postpartum labor nurse, like previously, like midnight to 3 a.m. is the hardest for a nurse. I mean, maybe other nurses can prove me wrong, but for me personally, midnight to 3 is the hardest. So you have to find things to do. So you're not falling asleep just at the nurse's station. So it's like, what can I do right now
so that I
can
don't
go
fall
give that
asleep.
baby a
That
bath.
baby, I could give that baby a bath.
Oh my God.
Or
well,
like,
thank you
that
for
mom was like really tired. Maybe she needs someone to hold her baby so she can have a nap.
Oh,
And
that
then
would have
that's
been
when you're like
nice.
going around and be like, hey, do you need anything? Do you need
See,
me
I
to
would have
please
Like,
let
loved
me do
that.
something so I could fall so I don't fall asleep at work?
I would have loved that. I would have loved that. I actually had asked my nurse if she could hold my baby so I could sleep, and they were like, "No, we don't do that." And I'm like, "Oh, I heard they do that. Why don't you do that?" Like I was so
I
disappointed.
think I did that for people. Like I would put the babies just on my chest in chart, but the baby
Yeah.
being on my chest kept me awake, and it was
Yeah.
giving my patient a break.
That's really
Well, I
funny.
wish I would
That
have
was
had
like-
you as my nurse. I
It
wish I would have had
was
you.
bliss. That was
Yeah.
the bliss of night shift. Just
Well, if
Yeah.
you gave
struggling.
birth during COVID, though, so maybe they
Yeah.
were like, we don't want to like
they can't.
contaminate.
That was probably true. COVID was a different
stuff.
time.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it was very different. Yeah, that's true. That's a good
COVID
point.
was a
Like
weird
I
time.
didn't get to have like I guess they used to even have like photographers come in and do the picture. Like I didn't even get to have that, which was fine because I look like a wreck anyway. Like I don't know how people take those glamour shots after their pregnancy because I'm like I was just a mess. I was
Fresh
like,
48. No, there was no fresh 48.
yeah,
for me.
I was like, this is
No,
not.
you were fresh. You were fresh looking.
I was looking fresh. Pale
Yeah,
skin.
yeah.
Let's put some blush on the
God, oh my God. I mean, I had
Gosh, so
popped blood vessels everywhere, right? On all over my face. So yeah, it was very hard. And then I also have an inverted nipple. And so breastfeeding from day one was a challenge because like I didn't know how to latch a baby when I don't have like my nipples sticking out. Like, right? Like what do you do? And I had some breastfeeding assistance while I was in the hospital, but not really like not a lot. It was just like, okay, well, try this, try that. And then they left, and that was it. And so it wasn't as hands-on and as, like we didn't really dive deeply into it as much as I wish we could have. So when I got home, another challenge is too, it's like, because I had a baby older, my parents are also older. My dad lives out in the desert. He's very far from me, like a 2.5-hour drive. They were both like in their mid 60s. And so it was just kind of hard for them to, they would say that they wanted to come and help, but like it was very, we could only do small things like to help, which was fine. We could take anything. But yeah, that first like few weeks, like all I wanted to do was lay down in bed. And I had to because it's like my legs were swollen, right? Like you get that really bad edema. Is it edema or edema? I'm not sure.
Edema, yeah.
Edema. So my legs had to stay up. I wanted to stay laying down. Plus I was so exhausted. So like my favorite breastfeeding position was lying down. But then I was always thirsty, because it's like I didn't realize at the time that breastfeeding triggers thirst. So I'm like, every time that I was thirsty, I would have to like unlatch my baby to sit up to drink water, which I didn't want to do because it was so hard to just get her on the breast to begin with. So I didn't drink water. I wasn't drinking enough water. And then, yeah, it was just like, that was a big challenge at the very beginning. And then the other thing that would happen too is that like, I would need two hands, especially for the one boob that has the inverted nipple to like really hold her head to my boob and help her latch and stay latched. So I literally had no hand to like drink water. Like I had to tell my husband, can you come over here and like with a straw, just give me some water because I couldn't let go of my baby. Otherwise I might lose the latch. So again, it was like, I found myself, we can do this as moms. Like we compensate our own health for our children, for our babies. And I was doing that right away, at the beginning, which it's like, it's the most crucial time when moms need to take care of ourselves, right? It's like, we're not just taking care of our baby, but like we need to be able to show up in perfect health for ourselves too, because we need to recover. And, I just felt like that beginning stage of recovery was so hard because I wasn't drinking enough water. I probably was also not, we did a meal train, so I had some meals, which was nice, but it was hard to eat because it's like, I found myself wanting to eat with just one hand. So it was like, it's a lot of French fries or chicken nuggets, like just stuff that was not great, but I could eat it with one hand. So just, going through that was crazy. And then my husband, what ended up happening with like EasyJug was he was in charge of getting me refills all the time with water, taking care of my hydration, making sure I was fed. And so I was thirsty all the time. And he's like back and forth, getting me refills. And he was like, this is crazy. Like, you need a bigger water bottle. And the problem with getting a bigger water bottle is like, now I'm holding my baby and I'm trying to hold a big water bottle over my baby's delicate head. Or again, like I'm lying down, and how do I drink from a big gallon water bottle if I'm laying down? So he's like, you need a long straw. That's what you need. You need a long straw. And so he goes online and he's trying to like look online and, big water bottle with a long straw. Nothing. And I was like, how come there's like so many gadgets and gizmos for pregnancy and postpartum, and there's not a water bottle designed for postpartum? Why is that? That's crazy. So my husband is kind of like a nerd. He's like, he likes to MacGyver things and put things together and study things and take things apart and put things together again. He's like into gadgets like that, and go gadget. He's like super into that. So he like made this makeshift prototype of what is now EasyJug. And it was like a game changer. I could lay down and breastfeed my baby and rest and drink water while I was laying down. Like that totally made a difference, especially for like the nighttime marathon feeds, right? Like those were horrible in the middle of the night. You get so thirsty and you don't want to like get up to like go get water. You just want to be able to like lay down and rest and go back to sleep as soon as you can. So, and then like he didn't have to go get refills as much. Like literally you fill your bottle maybe once or twice and that's it. So like he didn't have to go back and forth and get me refills all the time, which he was always happy to get me refills, but he was like, oh, now I can relax too now, because he needed rest also, So like benefited both of us. And then I could drink hands-free, which was so important because latching my baby, I could hold my baby to my breast with both hands and then have the straw right here and just drink without having to worry about like, okay, disturbing her, or if she fell asleep on me and my water was out of reach, like the straw would just be right here and the baby can sleep and I can just drink water with no problem.
Oh man.
So
it was a game changer.
It's a game changer, right? So one day So one day we look at each other and like, literally it was like a serendipitous thing. We looked at each other, like crossing each other in the hallway. And we were like, why don't we make this? Why don't we make this and put it out into the world? Because we can't be the only ones like struggling with this issue. And what a difference it would make for moms and for families. Like this would be incredible. But we had no background in product development. I've had my own business before. I had a fitness business before a long time ago for like 10 years. So like I've always been entrepreneurial. So like the idea in my head and the fact that he was like had the same idea, I was like, we got to go with it. Like let's do it. I got really excited about it. And again, it's like a serendipitous thing. I don't know. It's like we knew nothing about product development, but I went online. I was like on scrolling social media, and when a friend of mine posted something about inventing a baby product, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to reach out to him, and maybe he can help us.
This is the universe.
My
talking.
it just like all fell into place. Like it was meant to be.
Totally, exactly. And I was like, wow. So I reached out to him. And he mentored us through the whole process, of creating a product. And it took us 2 years to develop EasyJug. We actually also created a focus group. Once we had like the prototype ready, we created created everything to make it look like EasyJug, right? We created a focus group of pregnant and breastfeeding moms to see get their input, how would it help them? And it was like across the board. Everybody was like, yes, like this would be amazing. And so we actually, before when Lila was born, within the first 3 months, we were actually going to buy a house, and that didn't fall through. Like, we were in escrow and everything, and that didn't fall through. And good thing it didn't, because had we made that investment, we wouldn't have been able to invest in this business. So we basically took the money that we were going to use to buy the house and used it to start our business. So again, it's like funny how everything works out. You know, at the time I was really disappointed that we didn't get the house, but it was like, okay, we needed to like make sure we had the money so that we could invest into our business. And so we launched in May of 2023. And it has been, you know, it's been amazing. Like, honestly, I love connecting with our mama community and hearing the success stories, because it's one thing, right? Like, you guys know, as someone that puts, you have a service that you put out, but you have a product too, because you have an online training. But when you get, it's one thing to put it together and it works for you, right? But like, when you get the feedback from people that are actual, you know, the testimonials, right? That it actually helped them out and it changed their lives. Like, it's everything to me. It's everything to me, you know? And the other thing that's crazy that happened was 6 months after my baby was born, my mom had a stroke. And, you know, it was very unexpected. And so there came a point in time where like my mom was living with me and I had a 6-month-old baby. So I was taking care of my mom and my baby. And little did I know that like EasyJug was actually something that she really benefited from too. Because she couldn't like open up a water bottle anymore, you know? Her mobility completely changed. It was hard for her to like lift a heavy jug or just even hold a glass, right? Like her mobility completely changed. So she was able to use our prototype early on too. And so, you know, we realized that like we designed it with breastfeeding moms in mind because that's how we came up with it. But it's really like it expands beyond that. Like, I've had people reach out to me recently. Actually, someone reached out to me. Her boyfriend was in a bad accident and completely paralyzed. And she's like, "We love EasyJug. Thank you so much. It's heaven sent. Like, it's the only way that he's able to hydrate." So, you know, it's amazing. It's you know, we're still early. We're like the little fish in a big pond right now, you know, as a new business, but I just am so motivated to keep going because of stories like that. And yeah, I'm excited about the future.
That's all. Like, I didn't even think how it can be such a helpful tool for even outside of breastfeeding as well.
Like,
but it makes so much sense.
Need the EasyJug. Like, you know how you get the Medline?
Yeah.
I think some of them are even Stanley, the hospital, whatever, water bottle with every delivery or even every admission. You get the little jug. They just need to give out EasyJugs.
I mean, I didn't even have that. I had like a pink cup that was like, it was a big
you
pink
had the
cup.
pink cup. Oh,
That's
gosh,
even worse.
It was horrible with a straw.
It's like trying to give that to somebody in labor to
or
drink.
like they don't even give you the straw because not all the lids had that straw point. Like, they gave you a cup in the pink and you had to pour your cup and drink the cup.
Like, that's like the hardest thing. I'm really excited to use the EasyJug during my labor because for whatever reason, holding a water bottle to my mouth, even with a straw, is like just too much. So it'll be nice to just like bring it to my mouth.
No, it's like
put it down.
Honestly,
nice.
it was like, it's funny because like when I saw it online, when you like first reached out to us, and I was like, this idea seems so simple.
I know,
and
right?
Like, when you still first see it, you're like, this is so silly. But also at the same time, this is so needed. Why has this not been created before?
Like, I think about
like, how is this the first one?
like one is big, so you don't have to refill it like 14 times, which is what always happens to my husband also. Because I'll sit down and I'll be like, I'm thirsty. I drank my 2 ounces of water, refill it. And then he sits down and he's like, God damn it. Like, he's like I'm going to do it.
As soon as they sit down,
I'm like,
I need more water.
I know, right?
I'm so
I know.
parched.
I know.
But now it's big enough so you don't have to refill it like 14 times.
Yeah.
And then it has
you
a really
shouldn't.
long straw, so you can be in any position to drink water or
And you
to
can
hydrate.
drink it. I think that's the one thing is like you always tell your kids or like when you're laying in bed, you can't drink something laying down because like that mechanism also, even if you have a straw, it's just hard to drink laying down. But with the EasyJug straw, I was laying down pretty much 90% of my postpartum recovery, and it was just attached to my shirt, and I would just drink it laying down with no issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No.
it's so nice.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I'm
for your
excited for you
experience.
too.
Yeah.
Yes. And actually,
it was so
I want to
nice.
use it now for
My
like my
kids would drink out
nighttime
of it.
Yeah.
my nighttime water
Yeah,
bottle.
honestly, you
Because
just
I
leave it
hate
at your
having to
bedside.
like, because I'm so thirsty all the time
Yeah.
during pregnancy. And so I have to sit up in the middle of the night and like drink my water. And when I sit up, because all my kids sleep in bed with me, they all wake up and they're like, Sophie calls everything juice. And so she's like, juice? And I'm like, go to sleep. And so then I got to give her some of my water.
Yeah.
And then she has to sit up to like drink from it. And then
no,
my
get
son,
the
fortunately, is a really
EasyJug.
deep sleeper. So he's out cold. But then and then we fall back asleep. And then I wake up again because I'm thirsty. And she's like, juice? So this will be nice because
You
I can
should
just
put it
grab
on your
the straw
bedside.
Yeah. Yeah.
and drink it.
But no,
and then
that's, like,
she's going to be
all-
none the wiser.
My Colin and Lily would drink my water bottle. They would come from the living room into the bedroom and be like, I'm thirsty. Give me
Yeah.
some of your water. I'm
Yeah.
like, guys, this is
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah. I've actually heard that from so many moms that their toddlers love it. Like it's the only way they can get their toddler to drink water. It's like from the
Yeah.
EasyJug. So that we've actually thought about maybe we should create one for kids, you know? We
Oh
have
my
we
God,
have
like
so
a
many
mini one would be
Yeah.
so freaking cute.
Yeah, we have so many ideas of like things to do next. You know, we're just trying to do one thing at a time and really like focus on it, right? One thing at a time. But yeah, we have that idea, and yeah, ever since we launched too, like we've added more accessories. So now we
Yes,
have
like
that.
the cleaning.
Yeah, the cleaning brush, because that was a concern. Like, how do you keep the straw clean, right? So there's a brush that's specifically designed to keep the length of the straw, the whole length of the straw clean. And then the external clip, so that way you can keep the straw clip to your clothing. I've even seen women clip it to their pillow, so that way, like at
That's what I
nighttime,
did.
right?
I did it to my
Okay.
pillow or my
Yeah.
bra.
Roxanne's going to walk down me sleeping. I'm going to have like a straw like right next to my face.
She was just going to
Yeah.
duct tape it
Yeah.
to your face.
Yeah, I mean, it's like literally,
Hydrating all the
it's almost
time.
like you wanted like an IV, right? Like I was like, I one time when we were trying to come up with a name for it, I was like, oh, I want to use that like IV because it just reminds me of an IV. But of course, there's liquid IV, so I didn't want to use that name. But yeah, you just need that like instant, easy source to what hydration. And you know, we appreciate it. You know, the doulas like yourself appreciate the importance of just like when it comes to pregnancy and postpartum, we're constantly reminding our moms to do the simple things, right? Breathe, hydrate, and eat and sleep. But
Yeah.
well, for whatever reason, it's like those things are so hard to do. So if we can just make one of those things easier, you know, like drinking water, which is so important, like for not just recovery, but, you know, the evidence is mixed in regards to like how it supports milk production. But, you know, if you're not properly hydrated, it could impair or it might not impair your milk production. But even if you're still producing milk, you know, that milk is 80 to 90% water, then it's going to pull hydration from your body more. And that means you're going to be more prone to headaches. You're going to be more prone to constipation, more prone to fatigue, you know, all those symptoms that are associated with dehydration. So hydration is so important and it's so easy to do, but it's so hard when you're like, you know, in pain, exhausted, and can't move because you're holding a baby.
I love that though. Like it's like here's one tool to help you make one of the things that is necessary for your health postpartum just a little bit easier with EasyJug. And I think that's like huge. Like we want to share about these little like hacks that we find that just make things just slightly easier after you give birth because it's hard.
It's hard.
Really hard.
Postpartum
It's
is hard.
hard.
And
It's
it's not
hard.
talked about it as much. And there needs to be more ways to be able to be supported in the postpartum period. And like, obviously, like not everyone can have like, young parents to like be there to help them like provide for the baby and cook them meals and help keep their house together. But things that you could do yourself is get an EasyJug so you're hydrated, and like a meal train like you had. It can like friends bringing you meals so you don't have to cook. And like there are like little ways that hopefully like we can create again that tribe and like village to be able to support each other in this postpartum really hard period, both mentally and physically.
Absolutely.
That's one of my takeaways actually, is like, you don't have to struggle. You know, it's hard. It is hard, but you don't have to struggle. You know, you can use things like an EasyJug to help you hydrate easily. You know, you can have a meal train organized to make sure that you get some support with your food. You know, lean into the support. You can, you know, take a course like one of yours to help you prepare for childbirth, and help you recover postpartum. You know, all the things, there's support available. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to struggle. You know, lean into that. Lean into the opportunities there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and not only sharing your birth story, but also the birth story of EasyJug. How can our listeners learn more for you? How can they grab an EasyJug from themselves? Because I think everybody should register for one if
Everyone
possible.
get one.
Oh, yay. Thank you. Yes. So we're on Instagram. We are EasyJug on Instagram. We have a little bit of a presence on TikTok. I haven't really dove into that so much yet, but we're on TikTok as Drink EasyJug. We also are on Pinterest. You can go to our website, www.easyjug.com, get on our newsletter as well. But we are offering a discount for EasyJug of 10% off if you use the code MAMASTAFIT10, and you can get a EasyJug that way.
Yeah. I think you guys are on Amazon too now.
We are on Amazon, yes. And the benefit about that, thank you for the reminder, is that you can add it to your baby registry. So that's the benefit of that.
Yeah.
Which I was just thinking about because I was like, oh, Amazon does baby registries.
Yeah.
And they're on Amazon.
Yes, everyone added to the baby registry.
And so if
Yeah.
you are a day postpartum and you're listening to this and you're like, I need one now, is it a part of Amazon
below.
Prime?
We'll
as
link
well?
Amazon below.
We're in, you know, we're very new on Amazon, so we haven't set up Prime yet, but we're in the process. Everything has been, you know, we're small family. We're all doing, me and my husband are doing everything, so we haven't gotten to that step.
So kind of like
soon.
Roxanne and I, we ship our own stuff too.
Yeah.
But we only have
Yeah.
like one t-shirt order a year.
So yeah, we do everything in house. But yeah, I mean, we
But it's still
recommend
pretty
it too.
quick shipping.
Yeah, definitely. As soon as we get the order and we ship it out. But we definitely recommend it too. Like, you can get it. We say get it in your third trimester, you know, because you're already getting like, keep it at your bedside, right? Like you were kind of sharing, Gina. Like you're already getting really thirsty in your third trimester. It's hard with your belly's already much bigger, right? So it's harder to like sit up. You have to kind of.
You should see me try to get up right now at 20 weeks. I have to like almost like kick my legs all the way back and then like throw my body forward to like get, because I have a
need an
floor
EasyJug,
bed too,
Gina.
so
Put
I
your
have to
EasyJug.
like propel my body, and sometimes it takes like 3 or 4 tries, and then Sophie's like, I want to come too, so now I have this toddler that I'm holding. Like, I should take a video of how I get out of bed because
Please do.
it's ridiculous.
That sounds.
But now
sounds
I don't have
fun.
to do that because I could just grab my straw.
Exactly.
Just drink it.
Exactly. And then also, you know, just to also pack it in the hospital bag, because as you know, when
Oh
you're
my gosh, I should have brought it.
yeah, it's like, you don't, especially I was a new mom, right? Like you don't realize that giving birth can be like a marathon and how much you need to stay hydrated during that whole process. So, and like I said, all I had was the pink cup with the straw, that little straw, that flimsy straw. And so it was hard to drink water. And I wish I would have had my EasyJug because, you know, but it wasn't, the idea wasn't there yet. But yeah, we tell people, pack it in your hospital bag. You're going to love it. And that's, you know, one of the things doulas will recommend, that when they say, you know, they encourage their mamas to take it with them because it helps the doulas as well too. It gives the doulas an extra hand. They're not having to hold the water anymore.
Or refill it 45 times.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times I have to leave a birth to go fill up a water bottle? Because I'm like, well, I don't want your birth partner to leave you, so I'll go refill this. People drink a lot of water during labor.
You did have to leave.
I had to leave very frequently to go refill water.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think you left once, mom left once. Yeah. It's a lot of water.
Yeah.
I should have had my EasyJug. Postpartum especially, I should have had it mostly because my table was so far away. I was so thirsty.
I know.
Yeah, and if there's any doulas listening or lactation workers, labor workers, anybody in that sphere, we love to partner with you. So just reach out to us. We have a section in our website, partner with us. So just reach out to us. We'd love to work with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again for coming on the podcast to share your birth story, also to share the birth of your company. We highly recommend EasyJug. So if you were trying to figure out what one item that you should get besides a car seat and a stroller, EasyJug.
EasyJug.
Get an EasyJug.
Mama Safe at 10. Get 10% off. Be prepared.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
hydrated.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for listening to Deirdre's birth story, not only the birth of her baby, but also the birth of her company, EasyJug. If you're looking for additional ways to stay hydrated during pregnancy, birth, postpartum, really any time, one of our favorite electrolyte salts that you can grab is Element, which is spelled LMNT, but it's pronounced Element. And you can use our link Drink Element, so drinklmnt.com/mamastay to get a free sample pack with any order that you get. I personally love the watermelon and the raspberry.
My personal favorites are the grapefruit and the orange and the citrus. I just love all the citrus fruit drinks. But I also really like the chocolates, which Gina is skeptical about. I really like the chocolate ones with warm milk or in my coffees. Warm is key, though, with the chocolate, not cold. And one of the best ways to get Element, try it out and get the most bang for your buck is they have an insider bundle that comes with 4 different types. So if you can't choose which flavor and you want to try multiple flavors, you can get 4 flavors within a box. And if you don't like it, you can always get a refund and then you can just keep the Element.
So that's a really great way to try out Element risk-free. And so use our link, drinkelement.com/mamastay. With your order, you also get a free sample pack so you can kind of figure out what other flavors you like as well. And ways that we can support you during your pregnancy, your postpartum, and beyond is we offer our prenatal and postpartum fitness training programs. So we can help you have a strong pregnancy and then also return to fitness after birth. We have our childbirth education course, our postpartum preparation course, in addition to infant massage, infant CPR, and choking. So there's a lot of classes to support you in the postpartum as well. And if you're professional, we have a birth workers course and a pre- and postnatal fitness trainer course if you're wanting to earn some CEUs while learning how to support the perinatal population. You can check out all of our courses on our website at mamastayfit.com and use code STORY10 to get 10% off any of our online offerings.